Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time for some Brawl Stars balance changes. Now these balance changes are going to be happening in the next day or two or later today. I don't believe that they're going to be coming with any other update, which is awesome because I love balance changes, and is sad because we're going to have to wait for the next update. By the way, I'm going to be covering everything in the update, so make sure you subscribe for that. But for now, let's dive into the upcoming balance changes. Starting off, let's talk about Jessie, who is getting 2 buffs. For starters, her main attack projectile speed is increasing by 10%, meaning obviously it's going to go 10% faster. Now the gameplay that you're seeing right here is comparing Penny's attack speed to Jessie's old attack speed, since Supercell didn't give me gameplay of these balance changes, so I couldn't show that. But in the future, they will be very similar. You can see that Penny's is a little bit faster than Jessie's is, but after the balance changes, it's going to be just as easy to hit Jessie's shot as it is to hit Penny's shot, as their attack range and the width are actually the same. Now this isn't 100% confirmed, but I believe that the projectile speed after Jessie's attack bounces off of an enemy or off of her turret will also be buffed by 10%, which should make it even easier to get more value with Jessie's attack. But that's not Jessie's only buff. She getting another buff. I don't know why I'm doing this, just playing with my dolls. Now her turret Scrappy is also getting a 7% health buff. At max level, this means it's increasing from 3,920 health to 4,200 health, which is a 280 health buff. Now by itself, this is not going to change Scrappy's interactions with the majority of brawlers. 8 of the brawlers are going to require 1 more projectile to take Scrappy out. We're talking 1 projectile, like not an entire shot, like 1 bullet kind of a thing. But El Primo and Crow will require an entire additional ammo to take the turret out. That's not really a whole lot as far as balance changes go. But when paired with Jessie's energized star power and the fact that Jessie's projectile speed is getting a buff, I think that this is actually going to have a fairly big impact on the viability of Jessie overall. It's pretty clear to me why Supercell decided to buff Jessie. She's always been great at lower trophies because of how new players bunch up, and it's just a lot easier to play her. But she has consistently been one of the worst brawlers in the competitive meta for months. Okay, now I'm a little nervous about how Supercell buffed her. I was actually kind of hoping that Shocky star power would actually get like a rework or rebuffed or something like that, so that she wouldn't be so incredibly dominant in lower trophies, but would actually be more viable in competitive trophies. So I am a little worried that she's going to be a little overbearing with these 2 buffs. I don't know about competitive. I think competitive she'll be pretty good, but like for players that are not competitive, you know, like 95% of the players, she might become the next OP tyrant that everybody hates. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this, so please let me know if you think Jessie's going to be too strong or if she's going to be just right. I should probably stop playing with dolls. Ems is getting a hype star power buff by 50%, meaning that it is going from 200 healing per second to 300 healing per second per enemy that is inside her super radius. Now if 3 enemies are within her circle, that's going to translate to 900 healing per second, which is okay. If you compare her to Leon's Invisi-Heal star power, which heals him 1,000 health per second, regardless of how many enemies are close to him, I think it's safe to say that this is not going to be a big enough buff to make people want to play Hype over Bad Karma. Now the problem with Hype is that Ems isn't a tank, so she doesn't have a massive store of HP to begin with, and if 2 or 3 brawlers are caught within her super to actually like cause her to start healing a whole lot, it's very likely that she's going to be burst down even if she does heal with that star power. In most cases, this is just going to be beneficial in that 1v1 type situation, but Bad Karma offers so much value that really I wouldn't be surprised to see people continue using it and Supercell possibly buff Hype again in the future. Now next, guys, is Pam, who's getting a 5% health buff. At max level, her health is increasing from 6,020 to 6,300, which, kind of like Scrappy, is an additional 280 health, and it's not very much, but it will change a few interactions, okay? So 10 of the 30 brawlers will now require 1 more projectile, just 1 more bullet to take Pam out. But what's more impactful is that Brock is now going to require 5 rockets to take her out, so he can't do it with rocket number 4, and El Primo will require a 4th ammo to take her out. Now obviously this doesn't take Mama's Hug into consideration, since like when you pair her attacking with healing and dealing damage, the math gets a little bit more complicated, you know. depending on how good Pam is hitting her shots. Do I think that this is going to impact Pam very much? No, I don't. Pam only has an average win rate when compared to all of the brawlers above 700 trophies, but she actually has the lowest pick rate in the competitive meta, which highly suggests that she's just not good competitively, right? Not in any mode other than takedown. Takedown is just... that's her playground. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think that an increase to 280 health is going to make her much better, especially when Poco is such a better healer when paired with tanks. He can heal from a distance. He's a lot more versatile than she is. The capo star power is just so good. I wouldn't be surprised to see another Pam buff in the future because, or at least a nerf to Poco, maybe in the future of this video. Now, next is Sandy, whose Rude Sands star power is getting a 200% buff. That's right, guys, 200%. Sounds like a lot. It's an okay amount. The damage that enemies will take while in his sandstorm is being increased from 40 damage per second to 120 damage per second. Now, you guys remember when Rude Sands did 200 damage per second, and it was one of the most OP things in the game. Well, 140 damage per second is a pretty big deal. But you should also remember that back then, Sandy's super lasted for 12 seconds, and now it only lasts for 9 seconds. Now, this means that if an enemy stays inside the sandstorm for all 9 seconds, they'll take a whopping 1,260 damage, which is like getting hit by a penny attack once in 9 seconds. It's still not a whole lot of damage, but I do think that it'll be enough to make people want to use this star power, especially in Lone Star, where keeping people from healing and also any additional damage is beneficial. That, you know, that's going to make a difference for Sandy. Now, Sandy actually has one of the lowest pick rates above 700 trophies, despite having a slightly above average win rate. There are some maps and modes where Sandy's just so good, but I do think this is going to change things just very slightly for him and make him a little bit more viable. I should also note that his pick rate really just might be due to the fact that there's still lots of competitive players that don't have Sandy yet. Raise your hand if that's you, and I'll lower my hand because I'm a dirty gemmer. Up next is Tara, whose Black Portal star power is getting a 33% damage buff. Its damage is going from 600 to 800 per attack, and I know that 33% damage buff sounds like a lot, and I think that it will still impact things a bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to choose Black Portal over Healing Shade. Really, for a lot of different reasons, okay? So first of all, Healing Shade heals almost twice a second, while Black Portal only deals damage like once per second. Also, Healing Shade can heal from a distance, while Black Portal has to be up close. And lastly, despite the health buffs to the Shadow, most brawlers can get rid of it in 2 quick attacks, which means that it's only really somewhat decent against brawlers like, you know, Poco and Piper, who deal a little bit of damage up close, or throwers that have to like perfectly aim and time their shots like Tick or Dynamite. Now, it is true that the ammo deficit, meaning that like it takes 2 ammos for the enemies to get rid of it, that can turn the tides for Tara against brawlers who can only hit 1 target with their attack. But Healing Shades just offers so much healing to you or anyone else on your team that may need it. Literally, it's almost like 400 health per second indefinitely until they get rid of the star power. I mean, you compare that to M's or, you know, Leon's star powers that heal. I mean, it's just, it's really good. I would love to see Black Portal buffed in the future with either a faster attack speed or possibly even a slightly longer range, like maybe a little bit of a range attack, like he throws out 1 card or something like that. Supercell, you taking notes? I'm just kidding. You guys are better at balancing things than I am, but it's an idea. Up next is 8-Bit, whose Extra Life star power is getting a 33% nerf to the duration of his invulnerability after respawning. Okay, what that means is that the time that he is invincible with that shield is being decreased from 3 seconds down to 2 seconds after he respawns. And to me, this is the perfect nerf, because previously 8-Bit would be invincible for an entire second after he reloaded a shot. Now, he'll reload a shot right at the time that his shield drops, which I feel like is so much more fair in Showdown. Okay, now 8-Bit is in a very strange place in a competitive meta. He has the 2nd lowest pick rate above 700 trophies. He has played less than every brawler in the game above 700 trophies other than Pam, but he has the highest win rate out of all the brawlers across all modes, like in general. He is insanely good, but people are not playing him because he's unbearably slow. Honestly, I think it's really strange, and I can't decide if the Brawl Stars team should buff his movement speed to make him more enjoyable to play at the risk of making him too strong, or if they should leave it alone. I don't know. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about a speed buff for 8-bit. So please let me know in the comment section. Now next is Daryl, who is getting a 17% nerf to the shield duration of his Steel Hoops star power. It's going from 3.5 seconds down to 3 seconds. Now, Steel Hoops was clearly overpowered, and we saw it over and over and over again in the Brawl Stars World Championship. Seriously, it was like Decapo Poco and Steel Hoops Daryl over and over and over again. I mean, there's a team that basically played that in the entire time and made it clear up the semifinals. Now, Daryl does have a pretty good pick rate across all modes, above 700 trophies, and he has the second highest win rate. A solid pick rate and an above average win rate definitely suggests that he was too strong, and I think that it's because of how much value he gets out of Steel Hoops. I definitely think that this is the way to go for Supercell when it comes to rebalancing Daryl. I really like it. Now next we have Poco, who's getting a Decapo star power buff by 50%. Decapo Poco getting a buff. Oh man, it sounds unbelievable. And it actually is. He's not getting a buff. I'm 100% joking. Poco is not getting a buff. But I'm guessing you were probably pretty surprised because Decapo Poco is so good right now and arguably needs a little toning down. Maybe a little bit of nerfing. Just an idea there, Supercell. That's what I actually think too, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Supercell did not decide to nerf it. Now, I will say that Decapo Poco has mostly been overpowered when paired with Daryl with Steel Hoops. Well, or really even any of the tanks. But Daryl with Steel Hoops is getting a nerf, so I think that it'll be okay. But I'm watching you, Poco. I really should stop this. And finally, guys, we're getting a little bit of a rework when it comes to epic wins in Heist. Basically, the limit to where you will get an epic win is being decreased from 80% down to 60%, which means that it's going to be a little bit easier to get those epic wins in Heist. Now, I don't have any of the stats, but in my experience, it was much easier to get epic wins in Gem Grab, in Brawl Ball, even in Bounty. So I'm guessing Supercell saw that there was a lack of epic wins in Heist and decided to change that. Now, it doesn't look like this is going to be the same change for Siege, and I can understand why. It's pretty easy for a skilled team to overpower an enemy team in one push or even 2 pushes in Siege without getting any damage on their safe. And those are the balance changes coming to Brawl Stars, guys. I want to know which changes you're excited for, but more importantly, I want to know which brawlers you think still need some rebalancing, guys. If I see any trending themes in the comment section regarding brawlers that you guys feel still need a buff or a nerf, I will forward that feedback to Supercell's balancing team. So yeah, drop like it's hot. And that's it for today's video, guys. But once again, make sure you subscribe for more Brawl Stars content, including news on the next update, guys, as soon as I can give it to you. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.